Hello everybody, my name is Nathan, and I am the man with a cartoon obsession. It's Valentine's Day, and for the past 2 years I have been reviewing a romance anime around Valentine's Day. The tradition isn't going anywhere, because that's exactly what I'm going to do today. Before we get into that though, I would greatly appreciate it if you could take just a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more animation related content. I couldn't decide which romance anime to review this time around, so I put up a Twitter poll and the few of you who voted made a unanimous decision as to which series you wanted me to talk about. I know that pretty much every other anime reviewer has talked about the show already, but that won't stop me from giving you my thoughts on it. That will involve numerous spoilers, so be warned. Without any further ado, let's get into my anime review of Toradora. Toradora is a romantic comedy anime based on the manga of the same name. There are also light novels and a visual novel. The anime was produced by JC Staff and it was licensed by NIS America with an English dub that was done by Bang Zoom Entertainment. The series ran from October 2, 2008 to March 26, 2009. It consists of 25 episodes, spanning over the course of one season. There's also a mini-series of shorts called Toradora SOS Hooray for Foodies, and an OVA called The True Meaning of Bento, which also revolves around food. They're both pretty funny, and if you enjoyed this series, you'll probably have a good time with them. The anime follows Ryuji Takasu and Taiga Aisaka, mainly as they try to help each other get with their respective crushes. However, in the process, they end up growing closer together in their own way. There are a lot of plot points, a lot of development, a lot of humor, a lot of drama, a lot of characters, and a lot of other things, and I will touch on all of these aspects. I suppose it makes sense to talk about the characters now, and I'm going to start with Taiga Aisaka. I'm also going to throw a curveball and say right now that Taiga is the cheese.
I am the cheese! I am the best character on the show!
Taiga Aisaka, or as she's known around school, the Palm-Top Tiger, is a short girl with an even shorter temper. She's very aggressive, and while she's well known around campus, it's not for good reason. She doesn't have many friends due to her attitude. However, that's just how she acts on the outside. On the inside, she's a completely different person. In fact, Taiga is the tsundere queen. She develops a lot throughout the show, but manages to retain her tsundere attributes. Whether you love the character type or hate it, it's hard to argue with the fact that Taiga is one of the best tsunderes in all of anime. She has that aggressive side, she can fight, and she's very good at it, and she doesn't take crap from anyone. Yet, she's also very kind and caring whether she admits it or not. She always looks out for others before worrying about herself. That's not something I expected from her when I first watched this show, but it's one of the many reasons that I already listed as to why she's the cheese. Ryuji Takasu isn't too far behind her though. He gets written off as a delinquent immediately simply because he has a mean-looking face. In reality though, he's actually a nice guy. Unfortunately, everyone being afraid of him means he doesn't have many friends either. This does turn around, of course, mainly because of Taiga. Ryuji loves to perform housewife tasks such as cooking and cleaning, and puts them to good use by helping people out or making food when he and his friends are together. He may be timid, and he may say the wrong thing from time to time, but he's a well-rounded character, and someone you want to see succeed. Next we have Minori Kushiera. She's the girl Ryuji has a crush on, and she's also Taiga's best friend. She's a softball player and a workaholic. She's always keeping herself busy, and she's also always bright, cheerful, energetic, and very eccentric. Of course, she also has another side that she rarely shows. She is hurting on the inside, but she keeps herself busy all the time to try and crush her fears and keep the pain at bay. Kushiera is an extremely fun character to watch, but she's also an easy character to feel for once you get to know more about her. Yusaku Kitamura is the guy Taiga has a crush on, and he's Ryuji's best friend. He's also a softball player, and he's on the student council. Yusaku is the most normal member of the group, I guess, and even saying that is a stretch. He's also a bit eccentric and entertaining, but he can be helpful too. He also keeps himself busy like Minori, but unlike Minori, he's shown to crack under the pressure occasionally. The little arc he gets in the show is very interesting, because to me he seemed like the character who had everything together, but that's not the case. The final member of the main cast is Ami Kawashima. She's Kitamura's childhood friend and a model, so she instantly becomes the class favorite. She presents herself as a ditzy and lovable airhead, but under that facade, she's actually a spoiled bitch. She's rude to mainly Taiga, but to the others as well. Of course, Taiga always manages to put her in her place. Despite her abrasive personality, I still enjoy her as a character. She may not be as kind-hearted as the others, but she's not without her good qualities. She always manages to bring everyone together for school events, and she's great at getting her point across. She goes through a lot of development too, and that's even brought up by other characters. When I found out Ami was a spoiled bitch, I was expecting to hate her, but she's a much more complex character than that. All of the main characters are complex. They're all strongly written, three-dimensional, and relatable in one way or another. Toradora also has a great supporting cast. Every supporting character feels like they have something to offer to the show, even if it's minimal. There are a lot of them, but I'll go through some of the more notable ones. Ryuji's mother, Yasuko, is a real treat. She's not the smartest person, and she's the one getting taken care of by Ryuji. However, she works hard to provide for her son, and she wants him to go to college and be successful. She also quickly accepts Taiga as a member of the family when she starts hanging around Ryuji. Then there's their pet bird, Inko. She's a parakeet who acts like a parakeet. You know, repeating words she hears. She struggles to say her own name, but she offers some funny moments. The teacher, Miss Yuri, is also hilarious. She constantly complains about how she's pushing 30 and she's old and single. She always acts jealous of her students since they're young, but she also hates that they don't appreciate their youth while they have it. She tries to help steer the students in the right direction when they're having difficulties too, like a good teacher should. She might not be my favorite anime teacher of all time or anything like that, but I couldn't think of a better fit for this particular show.
Don't just stand there. By the time you're done talking, the trip's gonna be over. All together now, guys.
The student council president Sumirecano is a character I ended up liking more than I thought I would. She's cold and uptight, but also forgetful. She doesn't get the greatest amount of focus, but we do get to know a bit about her. She is a caring person deep down, and we get to see that a little bit. Finally, Ryuji and Taiga's classmates outside of their main friend group are all fun to watch. The ones we mainly see hanging around them are Koji Haruta, Hisamitsu Noto, Maya Kihara, and Nanako Kashi. They may just be supporting characters, but they all have distinct personalities, and they all offer just a little bit to the story. Every character, every conflict, and every relationship gets focus in this show. Naturally, what happens between the main characters takes the forefront, but even the minor characters and their conflicts are interesting. They're given just enough time to make an impact. Going back to the relationships and conflicts between the main characters, there's a lot that goes on, and I'm not going to cover it all, but I'll talk about some elements that stood out to me. First and foremost, I said that this was a romantic comedy, and it is, at least in the first half. The second half still has plenty of comedic moments, but it delves more into romantic drama territory. I've heard arguments that this makes the show's tone inconsistent, and personally, I disagree. I think the tonal shift works, because the drama is sprinkled in little by little in the first half, while keeping things mostly lighthearted and giving the viewer time to get invested in the characters and the story. Plus, they plant the seeds for some major conflicts and plot points early on, but you might miss them the first time around, or just if you're not paying attention. That can also be said about the dialogue in this show. The characters use a lot of symbolic language, such as metaphors and double entendres, to describe their feelings and relationships. I love that, and I think it's very clever. Staying on the topic of conflicts and relationships, in the heat of the moment, I don't always agree with the decisions the characters make, but as the show moves along, I understand why things happen that way. And those decisions make the story as great and compelling as it is. Sure, the love maze that ends up developing becomes a mess, but it's an entertaining and compelling story regardless. Plus, it all gets resolved one way or another. Some things are shrugged off, but the important details are always touched on again later. I also quickly want to mention that some of the most tense and interesting moments happen on the ski trip episode. This further proves my theory that ski trip episodes are the best for furthering a show's plot. Toradora, the quintessential quintuplets, American Dragon Jake Long, it's impossible to go wrong with a good ski trip episode. And the ski trip episode in this show is one of my favorites in the whole series, just so you know. My final point on the conflicts is there are a couple details that aren't given or full resolutions to certain conflicts, but considering how the story itself resolves and what all happens up to that point, those are very minuscule issues that don't detract from the show. Not to mention, there are some nuances that explain everything a little better. You just gotta look out for them. My final point on the relationship aspect is that Ryuji and Taiga make the best couple. Seriously, they're such a perfect match for each other. Taiga lives alone, doesn't have many friends at first, and doesn't know how to take care of herself. Ryuji is great at performing household duties, he's lonely because he also doesn't have many friends, and needs someone who understands him. Both Ryuji and Taiga have parental issues as well, and that's another thing that they kind of bond over. It's kind of depressing, but kind of sweet at the same time. These two are a lot more alike than they realize, and they bring out the best in each other. Possibly the worst too on occasion, but hey, nobody's without flaws. Watching their relationship develop into what it becomes at the very end of the show is one of the most satisfying experiences I've ever had watching an anime. Ryuji and Taiga have no shortage of funny, tense, and sweet moments with one another. Their relationship makes me both happy and sad at the same time, especially during the last 2 episodes. The show teases that they're going to end up together at the very beginning, but their plan was to help each other go out with their respective crushes. Naturally, they end up building such a strong bond in doing so that they end up together. While it was obvious from the start, I still think it's brilliant.
Ryuji is mine! Keep your damn hands off him!
Moving along to the voice acting, this show has a terrific English dub. There are some iffy lines here and there, but they're few and far between, so it's not really a problem. As for standout performances, I'll say the entire main cast. Cassandra Lee Morris as Taiga, Eric Kimmerer as Ryuji, Christine Marie Cabanos as Minori, Erika Harlicker as Ami, and Johnny Young Bosch as Yusaku. I'll also throw in Karen Strassman as Yasuko. All of these voice actors fit their characters exceptionally well. Whether it be funny scenes or serious ones, they all express believable emotions, and it's easy to get wrapped up in what's going on even more with help from these performances. The music in the show is also pretty good. I especially like the opening and ending themes. The opening sequence in the first half fits the more comedic nature of the series, whereas the opening sequence in the second half fits the more dramatic tone the show takes. That's a great touch, and it adds another layer onto the show's tone. Finally, I love the visuals in this show. The character designs are unique and instantly recognizable. I like a lot of the details in the designs too, such as Ryuji's eyes looking different than everyone else's to exaggerate his scary looking face. I also like how Taiga's hair looks. That's oddly specific, and I'm not entirely sure why, but it has an interesting look to it, and I just love it. I also love how the show uses lighting to convey more serious tones in several scenes. The animation is beautiful, and it follows the pacing of the show flawlessly, from the more calm scenes where not much is happening, to the more intense scenes where some characters fight, or any scene where Taiga hits Ryuji. Okay, I've been gushing about this show long enough. I've mentioned some minuscule issues I have with it, and those are the only problems I have with Toradora. This show is one of the most popular and well-received rom-com anime out there, and it's not hard to see why. The show does so much right, and hardly anything wrong. The pacing is perfect, the way it blends comedy and drama is executed well, all of the characters are likable and relatable, the show can make you think a little bit, it can make you cry a lot, it can make you laugh a lot, the ending is satisfying, and it gave us one of the best couples in anime. Well, that's my opinion anyway. Overall, I give Toradora a 10 out of 10. It's not completely flawless, but it's close enough to warrant that score. It's anime like this that reminds me why I fell in love with this particular genre, and what it has to offer.
The dumb chihuahua really was taking a shower. And she was all boom and boing and bam! And he doesn't need to know that!
Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you have any other cartoons, anime, or other animated works that you want me to talk about in the future, please let me know. After all, it's not my channel, it's our channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and feel free to check out my social media pages, audition for an outro, and join the official Cartoon Session Discord. The links for all of which are in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
I am Vegeta, and thank you for watching Cartoon Obsession. Is it over now? Can I quit?